Hello and welcome to this video in which I quickly want to show you how I accomplished this or how to do this underwater scene in Blender Eevee. And there are some effects here that I was interested in, and one is to have these sun rays emanating from the surface of the water that can also hit and create these light and shadows on other objects inside the scene, inside of a mist. So you have a mistiness where the front of the submarine here is not behind a lot of mist, and the rear of it you can see is in a fog. And you want to be able to animate this, so we want these rays to change and move around as the surface changes. And you also want to get this detail on the surface of the ocean. So a lot of things along with the color that we want to be able to see. So let's quickly go over this. I'm going to take away the submarine and all the other things and just show you what I have in this scene. So let's go to the wireframe mode and hit 5, so I have some more control over my camera. And first of all, of course, I have a plane with an ocean modifier on it. I also have a spot lamp in this instance. Now a sun lamp will do the trick as well. The difference is that the sun lamp's rays will be all in parallel. It won't look like they're emanating from a point. So I like the spot lamp. That works pretty well. This one has a power level of 1 megawatt. And then I have a cube that contains the entire animation, and that's in the field of the camera. And the camera is just outside of this cube. So if I hit 7 and I look at where my camera is, you'll see it's just outside of the cube. The cube is what's going to contain the fog, the volumetrics. You can also do it in the world settings, or you can do in both of them. In this video I'll do both to show you how that works. And my camera is looking up at the ocean surface, of course, so that I can see that. Alright, so let's go over some of the things in Eevee that you want to set up. First of all, turn down your viewport samples, but not too much. You can use 16 or so, just so that you can see the sun rays. When the samples are too low, the sun rays will look blotchy, and at some point they'll disappear, so you won't be able to see them. So it has to be high enough so that you can see the sun rays. Under volumetric, still into the render settings of Eevee, you want to make sure volumetric lighting is turned on. So just to show you what happens if you don't have it turned on, I'll just turn it off. The whole volumetric lighting disappears. So make sure that is turned on. All right. Now to create the ocean, that's very easy. You add a plane, and then with this plane selected, go to modifiers, add modifier ocean, right? And then you can play with repeat X, repeat Y, resolution, size, and spatial size to get it the size that you want. You can also scale up your plane and position it where you want it to have it. And then with the rest of the settings, you're going to play around to get it to look like an ocean. So this is the waves and how big the waves are and in which direction they move and so forth. But one thing you need to do is check this box, generate foam, and give it a name in the layer name. I called it foam here, capital F-O-A-M, and then I selected the coverage, adjusted this to 0.5. So this then we're going to use to create the rays. And to do that, we're going to go to the shader for the plane. And what you do is add an attribute node. You find this under add input attribute, and you can pass this through a color ramp or a curve and put it into the factor input of a mix shader. Let me go to the mix, to the shaders here. So this shader mixer mixes a transparency and a glossy shader. The glossy is necessary because water, just like it does on a surface where it reflects, you know, in a clear lake, on a still lake, you see a nice mirror-like reflection. Well, water does the same thing when it's not a still day. It just reflects different things and it just moves reflections. But reflections happen when the angle of your eye with respect to the surface, or the camera angle with respect to the surface, is very low. So when you're looking down the surface is when it starts looking like a mirror. This happens underwater as well. In my scene it wasn't very important, so you can actually get away with a diffuse shader, which is a little bit less expensive. But that would be the correct one to do. And when you have this shader, I just want to quickly show you that you now have some dials that you can tune. So you can play with this color ramp over here. You can do a lot of things here. Add more divisions and make it sharp and give it colors and so forth. You can do all kinds of things here. But there's the darkness of your white color transparency is also going to have a vast effect. So take a look here. As I adjust, I'm just going to increase this window a little bit so you can see better. Look at the ocean detail. And when I adjust just the darkness of my transparency color, the ocean surface detail disappears very quickly. So even up here, the ocean surface detail is completely gone. So you have to be careful that the V value, this darkness value of your white transparency shader, isn't too light or too dark. Otherwise, you're going to lose that detail. Then under the color settings, under the material settings for your ocean, you want to go to settings. So it's materials, and then find settings over here, and then the blend mode, set that to alpha clip, and the shadow mode to alpha hashed. Initially it's all opaque, and you'll see that that doesn't work. Opaque just casts a shadow. There's no alpha and you cannot see anything. So set the shadow mode to alpha hashed and the blend mode to alpha clip, and the clip works because you do want these sharp edges for the definition of your ocean surface. So this is quite important. What else can I show you? The cube. All right, let's get to the fog. And this is the cube again that I have underneath the ocean, this big cube. So here I only have a volume scatter shader into the volume of the material output. I selected a color with a blue hue, and then I turned the darkness down. So with a density of 0.4, and you can play with this dial, you can also play with the color of and darkness value here. That will give you the sun rays and the fog effect that you need. Now you don't have you can do it in the cube. You can also do it in the world settings. So under shader, just select world down here. And again, a volume scatter node. In this case, I have a density of 0.3. So I'm using both actually in this video, and the volume. And then you don't need to put a background node for the surface. I did to show that you can actually do that. And this is just an image that I created that I stuck in here. And this will create something, just a background behind the fog to give you some dark values or some color hues to come through. Let me show you what that image looks like that I created. I created something like this. and this gives me some darkness, and it looks like there's a blue sky above. If you want to simulate an ocean which is very shallow and you want to make it look like there's an ocean floor that's underneath the fog, then maybe you can turn this into a darker brown that disappears into this blue mist. You can do all kinds of things. You can also change the sky form, let's say for example a cloudy day and so on. So you can do all kinds of things. It's not necessary, like I said, but I find it useful to do that. So for the camera, depth of field, for the cube, fog. For the ocean plane, you want to do the modifier, generate foam, and remember to put under the material settings alpha clip and alpha hashed, adjust the threshold, and there you go. And that's the whole thing. Let's give this a render and see what it looks like. Now I've added my submarine back into the scene. I've added some buoyed fish, and there is also a particle system on the prop of the submarine that creates a bubble effect, just to show that that can be done. And there you go. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching.